Alright, Apple iPhone 10 and Google Pixel 2 honest review. This is going to be a fanboy-free look at these two brand new devices from Google and from Apple. Try and help you guys decide which one you'd like to purchase for 2017, 2018. So jumping right in, the Apple iPhone 10 is a new design from Apple, the first in years, probably since the iPhone 5. They've gone out on a limb here and totally radically changed the build of the phone. The Pixel 2 is an upgrade from the Pixel 1. Very, very subtle differences. We'll talk about that further here in a second. But for the most part, the Pixel 2 and iPhone 10 are the flagship phones from the Google and Apple camps here for 2017, 2018. Side by side, what are the biggest differences? Well, you can tell right off the bat that the bezel-less design on the 10 from Apple is fantastic. It goes from corner to corner, huge display, very forward-thinking, awesome-looking colors, awesome OLED panel, super sharp, super contrasty, really, really quality screen. Pixel has had a lot of controversy with the display, people getting frustrated, people having quality issues, not necessarily with the Pixel 2, but the Pixel 2 XL. The Pixel 2 has been a little bit better in terms of people being satisfied with it. I personally think the colors on the iPhone are a little bit better. I think that they have just a subtle, better difference in contrast and color. Hopefully we can give you a little demo here of what I'm talking about. I'm going to try and launch Facebook really quickly and you can maybe see the difference in color. Little bit different. I don't know why that won't let me zoom. Maybe that's an iOS thing, but that may be a good example right there. We can kind of see side by side there what I'm talking about. Just the sharpness and the color accuracy on the iPhone are just a little bit better, and they're, excuse me, in my opinion, nicer to look at. They're a little bit washed out on the Pixel 2. But other differences to talk about: big bezels on the Pixel, no bezels on the iPhone. So in terms of its overall user experience with the display, much, much better on the iPhone than on the Pixel 2. Other software things to talk about: obviously if you're an Android phone fan versus an Apple iPhone fan, you'll know that Apple does not let you do any software customization, whereas Google, you can customize everything your heart's desire. That is a big plus for the Pixel. What I mean by that is, for example, when I go and plug my iPhone into my Android Auto and Apple CarPlay device in my car, I'm forced to use things like Apple Maps, which is really frustrating. And when I don't want to use Apple Maps, I have no other choice. I can't use Google Maps in my Apple CarPlay enabled device. Also things like Siri, which tend to not work at all. So when I'm comparing something like the iPhone 10 to the Google Pixel and I end up having to use Siri on the iPhone, the Pixel wins every single time with Google Now. So software-wise, Android wins on that front. Pixel 2, much better software, much better, cleaner user interface, much better in terms of its overall ability to do things that the user wants to do. Apple software, iOS is great, it's clean, it's fast, it's fun, but it does have things that are frustrating, it does have things that are annoying, and it does have things that are can be sort of limiting at times. Hardware-wise, the phones are very similar in terms of their shape, their size, their build. They're clean lines. They look really, really sharp. They look really similar, too, in terms of the color. Both have awesome cameras, which we'll talk about here in a second. Both have no headphone jack, which is super annoying and super frustrating for 2018. Both are water resistant, although the iPhone has a better water resistance rating. You can probably submerge the iPhone and get away with it, whereas the Pixel is only, they consider splash proof, which is a bit of a bummer. The other thing to talk about with the hardware is that they both tend to now come unlocked with all radios that will support any carrier, which is great. So you can move them between the carriers. You don't have to feel stuck and locked into one company, which is really nice these days. You can buy a phone on Verizon, take it to T-Mobile or one of the MVNOs. Same thing with Google. Google does have an electronic SIM in this model as well, so you can use it with Project Fi, which is really, really cool. So these are really, really neck and neck in terms of being premium phones with premium features. The other thing that people would probably want to know about is the camera, and we mentioned that here a little bit ago. I just took a picture there for the other minute ago with the Google phone and the iPhone here, and you can kind of see the little bit subtle differences in terms of the quality. The Pixel, I've been super impressed with the Pixel and how the quality of it tends to work out, and how the resolution on the Pixel seems to be just a hair better than the iPhone. The other thing that I've noticed on the Pixel is that the portrait mode tends to work a lot better on the Pixel as well. So if we go to portrait over here, and we go to portrait over here, I'll actually show you what I'm talking about. So if we use portrait, and I'll take this lens cap that I have over here, I'll take 2 demo shots just off camera really quickly and show you guys what I mean. The iPhone tends to sort of screw up, and what I mean by that is if you look at this picture that I just took, right, that one looks alright, and I'll take the portrait one over here too. See if I can reproduce the exact same picture, hopefully, and show you exactly what I mean. So if we look at how the edges, you can kind of see how on the iPhone, right, it's blurred it a little bit too much. So the edging, you can really see it on the Y there. See how it's cut off right there? And see the background bokeh. Very, very subtle differences you can kind of see right between the two. But in my opinion, the Google version of this picture, the Google Portrait mode, comes out a lot better. And Apple's really hyped up this portrait thing in a lot of their marketing, and they've really blurred the background here. I mean, that almost makes it like an f1 1.4 lens or something, whereas this might be like more of like an f2 lens. So subtle differences between the portrait modes, but overall I'm really happy with how the portrait mode works in the iPhone, or excuse me, in the Pixel versus how it works in the iPhone. And you can actually turn that around for the front-facing camera too, and do the exact same thing on the front-facing camera with its portrait mode, which is sort of a fun feature to have. Biggest other change with the iPhone is obviously lack of home button. I mean, the Pixel and most Android phones haven't had home buttons for a while, but you know, they've had software integrated home buttons, whereas the iPhone has gotten rid of the home button for the first time in forever. Literally forever. And the way to unlock the phone now is to use your face, and you can see this little lock thing here, and when I lean over to the phone camera, the front-facing camera, it will actually sense my face and unlock the device, and it works surprisingly well. Like, I've been really pleased with how well it actually works. It tends to be fast, it tends to be reliable. I haven't tried it with any like masks or and glasses or anything like that because I don't wear them, but the speed at which it works and also the consistency at which it works has been really, really great and really, really rewarding to use this phone. Other things I think you could, you know, if you're trying to consider buying these devices, is cost. You know, the iPhone is going to be $1,000. The Pixel is going to be in that $650 to $750 range. And so that's a significant difference for a lot of people. You know, the upfront cost of this iPhone 10, is it really worth it? I mean, I think if you have to have the latest and greatest Apple device, you'll really, 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 really like this iPhone. I mean, it is probably the best one I've had since the iPhone 5. You know, it just feels good in your hand. I love the screen. I like Face Unlock. I like the camera. I like the build quality. The sort of round edges like the 6 and 7 series are nice. It just feels good to hold on to. The Pixel's a little boxy. It's just a little different feeling. I don't know. It feels more industrial. It feels less refined than the iPhone 10. So for me, I really like the design and the quality of the iPhone 10, but I like the user interface and the cost of the Pixel 2. So my preference is definitely for the Pixel 2 over the iPhone 10, but that's mostly because I end up liking Android more than anything else, and that's what I end up using, is because Android gives me the best user experience and honestly the best camera as well. You know, in terms of being able to use something every day that's in my pocket. And so my preference is for the Pixel 2. One last thing to talk about before we end this review. I have seen some drop tests on YouTube, and people have said that this phone drops or breaks more than any other iPhone on the market. The glass on the back breaks, the glass on the front breaks. So if you're gonna get an iPhone 10, please get a case. Please protect your $1,000 device that you just spent a lot of your hard-earned money on. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this little honest side-by-side review of the Google Pixel 2 and the Apple iPhone 10. Check out everything else I have on YouTube. Rate, comment, and subscribe. Thanks.